welcome back to another video. Again, I massively apologise for the inconsistency. I'm really doing my best. Obviously, being pregnant, 7.5 months pregnant, and dealing with a child that is going to be 1 next week, and also a party in between, dealing with a house, literally everything, all my health conditions. It's just been an absolute... So I'm doing my absolute best, but now the autumnal seasons are upon us. So I am going to do my best to sort of start the cozy content. I want to start doing stuff of making my stews, my soups, my casseroles, hauls, everything, decorates with me, clean with me, all this sort of stuff. I'm here for it, and I'm going to do it. I'm probably going to start from next week, but this one I was actually intending to do a Q&A to do with being a parent, being a mum, after birth, blah blah. But I just thought actually all of the sort of questions that I were asked, pretty much I might as well just tell my labour and birth story and how that all went about, and then sort of the after birth, because it pretty much amounts to it. And I realised as much as I was explaining myself, I might as well have just spoke about my story. So that's what I'm going to do, and in that it will sort of answer people's questions. So yeah, let's get started. So I obviously gave birth almost a year ago now. My due date was officially September 5th, but he was 7 days late. So on that Saturday, I went into the maternal fetal and assessment unit, which is pretty much sort of like the emergency department for pregnant people, women. And I say people, non-binary and stuff, don't want to exclude. So I went in with reduced movements, and the only reason I actually went in and was actually a bit more worried than what I probably would have been was just because my friend had a situation the day before with reduced movement, and I just didn't want to take any chances. So I went in, and it was quite late in the evening. It was about 8 or 9 in the evening, and when I went in, straight away they basically said to me, like, regardless of whether we can feel baby or not, you're a week overdue, you've had reduced movements, it's quite dangerous, so we have to book in your induction for tomorrow, basically, is what they said to me. And I was like, wow, okay. I'm not gonna lie, I really didn't expect that. Obviously, being a first time mum and obviously not really knowing anything about any of this stuff anyway, I then called my partner and I was like, oh, like, you've got to bring my stuff, I could be here for a few days, like this could really be like a long thing. And obviously at the time it was during COVID, so he wasn't actually allowed with me until I was actively in labour, which I'm sure at the time was you had to be 3 centimetres dilated onwards. So I was like, I'm literally gonna have to be in hospital on my own for like the next few days, and I was literally in tears. It was horrible. And I wasn't allowed to leave either due to safety reasons. So obviously if I wanted to discharge myself legally, I'm allowed to, but they was literally saying to me, like, you can't leave where you are just in case anything happens. So they was like to me, quick, go down and get your bag, say goodbye to your partner until you see him, blah blah, and that was pretty much it. So I went back upstairs, and they then put me on the, was it like the antenatal ward, I'm guessing, and they said to me, oh, we're going to send someone round in the next couple of hours to give you a sweep. So I said, okay, cool, no problem, whatever floats your boat, blah blah. So I was on FaceTime to my partner, Killian's dad, at the time, and I was just very, very, very emotional. I was very scared, and all of a sudden the woman's come over and she's like, yeah, no, that's fine, we're gonna do a sweep now, blah blah. So I was like, yep, great, cool. And within about 30 seconds she went, well, do you want the good news? And I was like, yeah, that would help. And she went, you're 2 centimetres dilated, so you're already in labour, so that could be the reason why you felt reduced movements. And I was just like, wow. And she said, I'm going to give you the sweep anyway, just because obviously you are in labour, and it can probably help move things along a bit. And then they sent around someone else to sort of speak to me, and it was the woman I'd spoke to when I was in the MFAU. And she said to me, oh, you know, you could still be here a few days, like labour is, you know, can be a very, very long, drawn out thing. You could literally still be here for a few days. And I said, yeah, that's fine. And then by this time now, it's about 4, 5 in the morning. And I'm literally just chilling. And then they send around another woman to check on me, to see, you know, if the sweep has done anything. And at this point, she says to me, Louise, you're 3 centimetres dilated. We could take you down to the labour ward. So I was like, oh, okay. And she said, you can call your partner now to come down. And in this few hours, I'd let my partner sort of sleep. I was like, just go to sleep. If I call you, then obviously be aware. If not, then just get your sleep because you're going to need it. And I called him and I said, oh, you can come now. I'm going on to the labour ward. So he rushed down, bless him. So by the time he sort of got to me, it was about 7 o'clock. And I was still about 3 centimetres dilated at this point. And yeah, it was just crazy. And throughout like my labour, honestly, my midwives were absolutely amazing. And they would speak to me, and sort of throughout my labour, before I had got epidural or had any gas and air, you know, I was sort of slowly starting to feel the contractions were happening, but it wasn't painful, or at least unbearably painful anyway. And they basically said, okay, we need someone to come in now and actually break your waters. So the same woman who told me I could still actually be here for a few days was brought down, excuse me, and she said to me, I said, Louise, I thought it was going to be a few days before I saw you again. She went, this is great. And she was the one that broke my waters. I'm not going to lie, that was a very painful process. Very painful. That was probably, to me, more painful than any of the labour pains I felt. But sort of as that happened, now I was really feeling my contractions. And once I got to, so I sort of was going along a bit, and then I started having gas and air, which was obviously amazingly helpful. But I was just sort of saying to my partner, like, you just chill in the corner. If you want to sleep, sleep, blah, blah. Because as soon as I'm ready to push, I'm going to need you, and I want you to have all the energy in the world. And from all the women I've spoken to that have sort of given birth, they always say the men are really never helpful. They never know what to say or do. You just get more angry at them. And I didn't want that moment to sort of be like that. So I was like, yeah, no, you just chill. I was on FaceTime to my mum pretty much the whole time. And yeah, it was a really funny time because I was just pretty much chilled throughout most of my labour. It was literally just when I was having contractions. But the midwives were literally there with me the whole time. She was literally speaking to me the whole time. And I had a student midwife in there as well. So I literally had 2 of them there. And if one of them wasn't able to do something, the other one was there speaking with me, guiding me through it, which was literally amazing. And then I got to about 6 or 7 centimetres dilated. I can't really remember, too tough. And I got to that point and I said, I want the epidural. And she said to me, sure? I said, am I going to feel anything? She said, if it works properly, no, you're literally not going to feel a thing. Your body's literally going to be dead weight. It's going to be like holding a dead body. You're literally not going to feel nothing. So I said, yeah, no, I want the epidural. So we had to wait for the anaesthetist, the person that can give the anaesthetic, basically. Not the anaesthetic, the epidural. And once I got that, oh my God, was she not like, I felt absolutely nothing. So I ended up falling asleep in my labour. I ended up eating, I was watching Friends, I was just chilling, talking, I was on the phone to everyone. I couldn't actually move to go to the toilet or anything at this point, so I was literally like, everything was just coming out free flow. I had no idea any of it was coming out. And then yeah, once I got to my 10 centimetres, so it was about 6 p.m. And they told me to start pushing, so I was pushing. And I was pushing for maybe about 15-20 minutes, sort of obviously with breaks in between. And it got to a point where I could just hear the machine going off, and I just remember one of the midwives saying to me, Louise, the baby's heart rate is drastically dropping, you're not in a good way, I'm gonna have to bring in someone higher. And I said, yeah, no, that's fine. So they brought someone else in, and well, to be fair, at this point I had about 10 people in there in the room with us. One of them tried the suction cups, and they tried about 4 or 5 of them, and they literally did not work. They just kept sort of sliding off baby's head. And that was the point where sort of me and my partner were like, well, can you be careful, like this is our child's head. And my partner is literally the most quiet, non-confrontational person there is. Like he's not rude, he's not loud, nothing. And even he got to a point where he was like, can you tell us what's going on, like what is happening, you know, like this isn't working, so what's going on? And one of the women that actually was doing the suction cup, she then started panicking in front of us because it wasn't working, and obviously that's now caused us to panic. And I just remember this higher person, this man, literally walking in, just pushing her out the way and telling her to go. And he sat in front of me and he said to me, Louise, I need you to listen to me very carefully. You aren't in a good way, your baby is not in a good way. I need to cut you and we need to pull your baby out. And if I'm going to tell you to push, I'm going to tell you to stop pushing. And that's all I need you to do is just listen to what I say, but we need to do this to make sure you and your baby are okay. And I just went, yep, that's fine. And I just remember I sat there and I just shut my eyes. My partner was just holding my hand, and he was watching everything that was going on, bless him. I don't know how he didn't pass out. There was blood everywhere. It was a lot. And he basically was talking me what was going on. He said, yeah, no, they're cutting you now, blah, blah. He went, oh, they're using these things to pull the baby out. And then the person confirmed, obviously, it was forceps. And literally within about 2 minutes of that, they literally placed baby straight on my chest, and I literally cried my eyes out, and it was amazing. It was brilliant. Doctor then obviously sued me back up, blah, blah. Well, obviously I got the placenta and stuff out. And then, yeah, was soon back up. And then, yeah, pretty much that was that. And then within about an hour of giving birth, an hour or 2 hours of giving birth, my midwives had now swapped shifts. So I had a new midwife dealing with me, who funnily enough is actually now my community midwife throughout this pregnancy, which is really lovely. But she basically came in and she said to me, I obviously had blood all over me. She was like, you know, would you like to try have a shower? And I was like, oh my God, yes, of course, please. Excuse me, especially because I didn't get to have a shower before I'd left to go to the hospital, because I didn't obviously expect to be staying there or whatever. So I literally, it was like 24 hours, over 24 hours, like without showering, like 30 something hours. So I was like, yeah, please. So at this point I'm literally still naked, I have nothing on me. I only had like the hospital robe on me. So she's taken it off me. She said to me, all right, we're going to bring you over to the wheelchair now. Because sort of at this point the epidural had pretty much worn off. And so I've gone over and I've sat on the wheelchair. And as soon as I sat on the wheelchair, I literally said to the midwife, I'm going to pass out. And she went, what do you mean? I said, I'm literally about to faint. I just said to her, just get someone. And all I remember is just waking up and like seeing all these people around me. But it was so dazed that I literally thought that I was dead. I thought I'd literally seen the light, and my life was, there was people trying to save my life, and it was like a really scary thing. And I started fitting, and as I started fitting, my eyes locked onto my partner holding Killian, and I just remember seeing the sheer fear and panic in my partner's eyes, and I just thought, this is it, I'm gone, I'm literally gone. And then I don't know obviously what happened in between and how I stopped fitting and whatever, but then I was finally brought round, and then I started having a panic attack because I had no control over my body, and it was just obviously a very scary situation. Then all of a sudden I just remember jumping up, like not onto my feet, but like just throwing myself forward and like gasping for breath. And they quickly, loads of them just quickly picked me up, put me on the bed, and they all just started getting like sanitary towels, covering them in cold water and just putting them all over my body because my temperature had spiked from losing all the blood. And they even at that point actually tested me for COVID, because obviously during the times it was that, and obviously my temperature had shot up, so they was like really panicked that maybe I had caught COVID. So I ended up in a room on my own after, but sort of in that situation it was just very scary. Like I've never ever known anything like it. I was too petrified to hold Killian as well. Like I literally kept saying to his dad, like, no, you hold him, you keep him there with you. Like I didn't want to hold him because I just felt so weak. I was so scared I was going to drop him, and that was like kind of hurtful in itself, because all I wanted to do was just cuddle my baby. But also at the same time, his dad obviously had to leave after a certain time, so I was like, you just sort of have all the cuddles with him, and once I'm taken upstairs then I'll obviously have to deal with all that. And that was pretty much it in terms of like the actual birth. And then obviously I was taken to the room upstairs rather than a ward, because obviously they hadn't received my COVID results back yet, and they said even if they do, they just need to be on the safe side and make sure I'm not mixed with any other parents and babies. So I was in like a private room, and sort of throughout that time I was very, very, very weak. Obviously, and I know a lot of mums are gonna sort of relate to it. I had the catheter put in. I still couldn't feel when I was going to the toilet, so I was literally like completely incontinent. And obviously they did say to me, you know, you can go home today later in the evening, but you will obviously need to go to the toilet first, blah blah. And I said, yeah, no, that's fine, no problem. I managed to finally shower myself. I managed to give Killian like a little cotton wool and lukewarm water, sort of like scrub over. And in the evening we went home. But I didn't realise, I think at this point I still had all like the painkiller in my system and stuff, because it wasn't until I got home and I woke up the next morning after that, and suddenly like my body was just in agony. I struggled to get off the bed. At the time we was in a bed sit, so there was no sofa, there was no chairs, it was literally just the bed. And at the time I was breastfeeding as well, so it was a struggle because I couldn't strain because of the stitches, but I also struggled to get up. The bed was low down, I had to literally pull myself up, but any time I pulled I could feel it straining, and I was bleeding a heck of a lot. I bled for almost 10 weeks. So that was obviously quite hard as well, because I didn't want to go out. Once I even felt a tiny bit better and I went out, it was like still really hot. It was like obviously, you know, early to mid-September, and the weather was literally lovely. It was like one of our loveliest Septembers, and I was literally in black tracksuits because I was so scared of just leaking through blood. And I was obviously still very incontinent. I could not hold in anything. So it was a massive struggle. And I think seeing other parents walk around or going out like not long after they've given birth and they just look so normal, they've got makeup on or they just look nice, that really turned me, like, it really made me not feel okay. I felt very, very, very low after that. And I think as well, like being in such a small house as well, excuse me, and just struggling in terms of like physically, like I literally did not feel okay until I was about 3 months postpartum, I would say. That was when my stitches were no longer feeling like they hurt, and they'd actually closed up and was all fine. Obviously I was still incontinent, but I literally didn't feel myself for a good 3 months. I had really bad like hot flushes all the time. It was just a really, really hard time, to be honest. I think after birth I really struggled, and I definitely suffered from postnatal depression. Like I just got to a point where I was like, why have I done this? Like, what have I done? why have I done this? And then because I was feeling like that, I felt like a bad mum. I felt like my son didn't deserve to have such a horrible person as their parent. I was in a really, really bad way. And then sort of from about 3 months, for about a month, I like went on this drink binge, and I was just like, I didn't want to go home, and I was literally drinking because I was like, I don't want to go home. I don't want to be at home. And the problem I sort of had was I didn't really open up, and I didn't speak to anyone, especially not my partner. And I think that's what made it harder, because he just couldn't understand why I was doing such stuff, and why after 3 months I was so happily out drinking and not wanting to be at home and all of this stuff. So it took months for me to even be able to open up to him and tell him that. And I felt like when I did, I was like, wow, like, why didn't I do that before? But honestly, if I can say anything, it is literally, please, the moment you feel like you're not okay, speak to someone. It is so normal. And I think that is the problem we all feel as like a first time mum as well, is that like, am I the only person that feels like this? Am I the only person going through this? Because genuinely, like, the people I was seeing that had given birth were literally walking around like nothing. Like, it was literally insane. And I literally could not even move. And I was so scared of even anyone coming around to the house to see him, or us going, you know, anywhere to see anyone, because I was so scared of wetting myself. I was scared of the pain I was in. I couldn't wear anything other than tracksuits. I just felt so grimy because I was sweating so much. I would literally hear his cry and just want to burst into tears. And genuinely for me, I felt like the first 6 weeks were literally the hardest 6 weeks I ever had to go through in my life. Like, I'm not even joking. It was literally the hardest thing. And I had his dad there pretty much throughout most of that. He only, so he has 2 jobs. And he only continued going to one of them because it was evening and weekends. So I was like, yeah, no, that's fine. Like, just, and it was literally only 2 to 3 hours sort of every evening and on the Saturdays. So like, them times when his dad was go, I would literally dread it, and I would just literally be like, when is he coming home? When is he coming home? And I think that was the hardest part. Like, I did not feel myself for a very long time. And I think my friends and family were noticing it, but they didn't want to say anything to me because I don't think they wanted to make me feel any worse. So that obviously made it really hard. But honestly, as the time went on and Killian got a bit more independent in terms of like being able to sit up on his own and roll over onto his tummy and these really small things, and sort of a bit more engaging and reacting to things and laughing and stuff like that, it just became so much easier. He would sleep, so obviously children, well, babies, a lot of them tend to have like a sleep regression every so often, which means that their sleep pattern changes constantly. So once he sort of got to, I would say, gone 3 or 4 months, he would pretty much sleep through the night. Like, he would go down at, it would vary, so he'd go down at about 11 p.m. and then wake up at about 5:30, and by this time I was like formula feed, and I only literally breastfed for a few days, but it helped because me and his dad would rotate night shifts, so I would do one night, he would do the next, and it was just honestly so much easier once he sort of got that. Once you start getting that extra few hours in, you feel the difference in yourself. Like, the hardest thing is having to go from knowing you can wake up or go sleep at any time to then literally constantly being on call. As soon as you hear that cry, you've got to be up. So I literally, once, it was just so much easier for me, and I didn't struggle in terms of like his dad going to work and stuff after that. But it obviously was coming into like, well, no, it was winter, so it was like the winter months now, so I was struggling to go outside because it was so cold, and I just didn't want to have him outside, and nothing was open at these points either, so I couldn't just go and sit in a nice coffee shop or a cafe or a restaurant and to get out of the house. So, excuse me, God, I don't know what's going on. So it was obviously very, very hard around them times as well. I couldn't really be around family as much. My mum is and was in a very vulnerable category as well. So, and she lives out of London. So I think that was also a very, very big struggle as well. So I genuinely just, I don't know how I got through it, but I did. But I now sit here with Killian being almost 1, think, oh my God, them times are so easy. But I feel like it's so easy to forget all of it. Like I said, like I'm literally pregnant again, about to give birth. Like, you forget the pain, you forget everything. Like, I had the worst pregnancy of Killian and I forgot about it all. Once it's all over, you forget about it, and then when it happens again, you're like, why have I done this again? But you're so happy at the same time. So I'm kind of like in this bubble of like, do I want to continue just sitting here and being like, oh, you know, being a mum is so hard and blah blah, but that's the reality of it. Like, the reality genuinely is that like being a parent is hard, and being a stay-at-home full-time parent is literally the hardest thing ever. And I have to salute all parents that do it, because honestly, like, yeah, it's not easy, and it takes away who you are as a person, but you are allowed to miss who you used to be and what you used to be and your dreams and your goals and the things you used to do. Like, you can miss all of that. That is perfectly normal, because your life isn't the same when you have children. And I kind of wish I knew. So people tend to tell you like all the negatives about having a child when you're pregnant, but they miss out a hell of a lot of it. People only ever really talk about the sleep, the sick, the poo, blah blah, like all of that sort of stuff. No one actually tells you mentally what it is going to do to you, and no one actually gives you advice on how to deal with it mentally either. So it's sort of like it just, one day it just happened. But I do genuinely feel like there are some people out there that are made to be parents, like that it doesn't affect on a daily basis, that waking up in the night is nothing to them, that they genuinely get on, feel no way, they don't complain, they are happy to do it all. And that's not me. Like, don't get me wrong, I want to be a parent and I love being a parent, it's the best thing in the world, but I definitely don't think I was made to be a parent. Like, I don't think that was like something I was put on this earth to do, is be a parent, because the way I have struggled being a parent, I never thought I could struggle in such a way. Like, it has literally been so hard, but I have found that being in a bigger house, Killian having his own room, just these really small things completely changed my life. Like, when he went into his own room, he started sleeping through. I don't have to worry about anything. Like, obviously in the bed sit, as soon as Killian went to sleep, it was like I couldn't do anything. I had to just sit there. I couldn't clean, I couldn't cook, I couldn't do any of it. I had to do everything when he was awake. Otherwise he would just wake up, or when his dad was there. So now I feel like I have a lot of independence now, and it's lovely, it's great, because I don't have to worry. Like, he's upstairs, I'm downstairs, we have the monitors, so it's all well and good. And even when the baby comes, he will be in my room obviously for the time being, and I have the next to me crib, so he will be in that. Killian can be in his room if they have any naps at the same time. If not, and baby's napping upstairs and I'm down here with Killian, then that's fine. Most likely 99% of the time I'll probably have the baby down here with me as well, just some a bit funny like that. But honestly, it's just so much easier, and it's the small little things that really make a difference. So this time round, I have kind of said to myself, do you know what, Louise, to make yourself feel that better and feel that bit more human, so starting from the 18th of September, I've said to myself, on a monthly basis, you will get your eyelashes done, you'll get your nails done, and you'll get your feet done, just to feel that bit more human. Because I think when you're a parent as well, especially being a mum and being a woman and just wanting to take pride in my appearance, I literally look like crap every single day. Like, it's a very rare occasion I put on makeup, and even when I do, I still feel like crap. I feel like, excuse me, my body was just not how I wanted it, nothing ever felt right. So I just literally want to be able to have a shower, throw my clothes on, scrape my hair in a bun and go, but it still look decent because I got my eyelashes and my nails done. You know, just these really small things. So genuinely, just like, word of advice, like, honestly, one, ask for help. Like, please ask for help. Do not suffer in silence, whether it's professional, whether it's personal. Like, ask for that help. and I promise you, you will not be alone, because honestly the worst thing you can do is suffer in silence, especially as a child. 2, do something for yourself. Like, one thing I done, especially with Killian, and I said to Killian's dad, was please make sure that every evening I get to have my bubble bath, no matter what. And literally that half an hour to an hour of me just being in the bathroom on my own done so much for me and just made me feel so normal. Because I see people that are like, yeah, I literally go like 3-4 days with no shower, and I'm like honestly, I'd done it at, you know, sort of the beginning, but I was like, nah, like that can't, I have to have something that just makes me feel that little bit more human. So just something for you, something that's personal. Obviously it's a bit hard if you don't have someone there for that help, but if you have that help, use and abuse it as much as you can. Like, that is all I can say. But that is pretty much the end of my labour, birth and afterbirth story. I hope it was intriguing. I hope it kind of helped. I'm really open to answering like any questions, and yeah, just I hope this is enough. I hope this is helpful. I know it's a bit long, sorry, I did sort of want to have it a bit shorter than this, but this is all in one, so that means I don't have to speak about anything to do with this again, because it's literally here. But I hope you all have an amazing evening, and I hope you all are feeling lovely and cozy in this now September month. And yeah, I hope everyone stays safe and stays well, and see you soon.